Change is inevitable. It is all around us, and it strikes most fiercely when people whine on the internet, or so I'm told. The glittering shores of Ulthuan are about to host a battle not of this realm as the armies of Tzeentch and the Greenskins fight for the magical floating donut. Doom Knights and Chaos Knights were once a pale imitation of all they could be, but no longer. The change is upon us. They'll be the focus of today's Tzeentch build, if they can somehow keep from turning into Chaos Spawn. There's a Gobbo horde out and about, led by Skarsnik and a Rogue Idol, and they're spoiling for a fight. So finally, after much ado, we have legitimately sick models for the Elite of the Dark Gods, and more will be coming with the Champions of Chaos DLC next month. In the meantime, I had 0 replays on my channel showcasing Doom Knights since launch, so I figured, hey, might as well show off a good time with these new boys, and they've got powerful stats, big time charge, they're a massive threat to an opponent's back line, as are these Screamers and Furies that will be joining them for this Tzeentch Air Force. I am extremely happy with their model now. Never wanted to use them before, but model quality in a game like this matters a lot, and the close-ups with them shall be glorious as they run down their adversaries from the skies. Chaos Knights will pair up with the superior mobility of Tzeentch here, taken as a frontliner and flanking for those juicy hammer anvils with magically imbued scimitars. Now this is going to be a very Tzeentch replay for multiple reasons. As you guys know, there are some visual problems for certain units on the battle build we have, and demons occasionally turn partially or fully invisible, which is ironically somewhat fitting for the Changer of Ways, but worry not, it's been reported and I expect it will be addressed before August 23rd. Kairos Fateweaver is Lord of Choice, Regrowth, Blue Fire, and Gaze of Fate to keep him very cheap, and a front line of Forsaken, which are just a very good infantry unit, especially when they're not going up against stuff like Black Orcs. Chaos Manta Rays in the sky on Overwatch, and for the armies of the Greenskins across the way, the world-famous Okoi is commanding a themed Night Goblin build, headed up by Skarsnik and a Rogue Idol. Basically, every Night Gobbo, Nasty Skulker, Regiment of Renown, and Squig unit you can think of, going super wide, ready to drown the field in a tide of insane mushroom people. Includes the Rusty Errors in the back line there, and probably Dirk and Squig somewhere as well. Nasty Skulkers on the flanks, and those sneaky boys in particular, with their Dung Bomb and paired with Squig Hoppers, could do a great job of pinning down Tzeentch Knights, while the Avatar of Gork and possibly Mork pounds them into dust. Moving through the trees on the left flank, there's an even bigger contingent of Squig Herd, looking to bound into that pink horror back line and munch on their cousins, because they look incredibly similar. And playing on this build, I've noticed that Tzeentch has some absolutely horrific matchups, and some really great ones. Played a game against Anticity's High Elves, and kind of as we expected, Tzeentch will have 0 answers to Emmerich or Dragon Princes until they get Chaos Warriors and Chosen in their front ranks. Against Wood Elves, though, again, somewhat predictably, they seem to absolutely run a train all over them, and it's not really because of fire damage, it's more about barrier and magical attacks and this blue fire of Tzeentch. Tons of options for diving into their backline too, with Screamers and Furies and Doom Knights too. So I don't really know how Greenskins and Tzeentch will shake out. Certainly Okoi's Night Gobbo build is not going to be meta, from a tournament perspective anyway, but there are so many ways for Greenskins to build. Armies like this one will always have a chance to catch you off guard if you're building for something else. So Blue Fire, for instance, what we saw is amazing versus Wood Elves. Gonna be straight up trash this game. I mean, we just did 500 damage to the Rogue Idol. It's got 16,000 HP. That was an overcast. It's not gonna be worth using, won't do anything. So even though we'll try to plunk away at it a little bit, we're gonna have to use other options to bring down the beast. Blue Horrors will unleash with their first magical salvo, another overcast into the Rogue Idol Warp Flame contact effect, making it a teeny bit more flammable. But here come the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch in all their glory. Magical scimitars flashing in the midday sun, and the Doom Knights as well with their lances straight into the Squig Herd. And this is where the ambush is coming out of the trees. There are 4 Squig Herd out on the Tzeentch right flank, and they are simply not equipped to deal with the Doom Knights or even Furies, because their charge bonus will be denied. They will immediately rampage, and frankly, they're going to have a difficult time even getting through the barrier of these Tzeentch Knights because they're high melee defense. So here come the Screamers. Forsaken in the front ranks will also rip through numberless hordes of Night Gobbos. Forsaken are pretty much designed to buzzsaw their way through lightly armored chaff. It's what they're best at doing. Chaos Knights almost had a turd launch in their faces, just narrowly dodging the slow as they retreat with barrier down. They did lose a model in that fight. Would have been a fantastic engagement for the Greenskins, but Furies and Screamers providing a screen while the Chaos Knights retreat. Pink Horrors and Rusty Arrows shooting in as well. most likely a fight that will favor the goblins the longer it goes. Neither of those Tzeentch units are meant for prolonged melee, and meanwhile, Forsaken having a field day butchering goblins in the center. But remember, there's a rogue idol and Skarsnik stomping around, and if you mix those two into the thick of it, the Tzeentch infantry will not last long, and they don't have enough firepower to quickly shoot down the Avatar either. So dealing with the big stone golem might prove somewhat challenging. Nice play from Oko here. Two of those Squig Herd were used as sacrificial lambs, slaughtered by the Tzeentch Air Force, but it allowed two more units to sneak into the back line and start munching those pink horrors. In fact, a lot of Greenskins have squeegeed their way through, to the point where Kairos is forced to land and fight in melee, giving time for those Tzeentch Knights, who are still quite slow, to saunter their way over. Forsaken have buzzsawed their way through and are now trying to get into the Night Goblin Archers. The Furies and Screamers have probably stayed in melee for too long here. They should have just screened for the Chaos Knights and then immediately retreated. They haven't done so, and they've taken a lot of losses. Looks like the Furies will probably crumble out. The Rusty Heirs fighting in CQB with Forsaken. Not a good spot for them at all, but Skarsnik is there, so we'll at least be able to trade blow for blow with them. Kairos Barrier is down, and the Night Goblin Focus Fire is coming in. Starting to take some HP damage, but he does have regrowth. Really nice smoke bomb here. This is the kind of value trading the Greenskins really need to get into this game. Kill the Forsaken, get rid of the infantry, then you can focus down the important stuff like the Chaos Knights and Doom Knights. But their mobility has been committed elsewhere, or is otherwise skewered, dead, and gone, which leaves Tony Hawk's Pro Disc Boarders clean avenue into the rear to start chopping down archers. This is an X Games event I would absolutely pay to see live. Reminds me of busting out backside 1080 rodeos to flying squirrel melon grabs on SSX with Mac and Kaori back in the day. I think that was my first PlayStation 2 game ever. So old it was on compact disc, the ones with the purple backs, before DVD-ROM became standard. I'm very old, dude. I'm very old. I even have some gray hairs now, bro. 30 is the new 87. And those Goblin Archers, man, they did not last very long. 52 charge combined with all those AoE attacks, which I believe Doom Knights do have. Able to clear out the chaff super fast with their high weapon strength. And there's some blue shields floating around in the nothingness. I imagine left over from the Screamers. Maybe they crumbled out. Here comes the beast. The myth, the legend itself, the rogue idol of Gork and possibly Mork. And he has one thing to say to the followers of the Dark Gods. It's clobbering time. Hulk. Smash! And he is going to rip apart this infantry in the center, and apparently smack around some of his own as well. That was a nasty little right hook. So the Goblotide looking pretty strong in the center. Nasty Skulkers and Skarsnik stomping their way over as well. Forsaken completely surrounded and certainly about to rout. Imagine they've lost their frenzy as well. So yeah, getting smashed by the boulders of the Rogue Idol. Meanwhile though, the superior Tzeentch mobility and Air Force has spread the field, and they're fighting everywhere but in the center. They've sacked that, and they're going to harry the flanks and run down a lot of these routing troops, and the ones that have overextended. Night Goblin Fanatics in the center, moving too far forward. Tzeentch Knights will punish that heavily with those magically imbued scimitars, and unfortunately for the Fanatics, those goblins on a chain, not really able to penetrate the barrier all that effectively, and generally speaking, not so good against Cav anyway. Usually better against tightly packed groups of infantry. Maybe did 600 to 800 burst damage, but all that would be effective for is just immediately getting through the shield, which is helpful, but not if there's something to follow it up, and the Rogue Idol and the rest of the Nasty Skulkers are simply too far away to help out those overextended gobos. And now the Archers are isolated. There are a few remaining Squig Herd charging forward to try to pin down those Chaos Knights. The Screamers and Doom Knights once again have a clear avenue into the rear, and the rest of these Archers will not be long for this world. By God, look at that 50-50 grind on a Night Goblin's nose. Incredible stuff from these Doom Knights, and they have been absolutely amazing this game so far. They still have a lot more work to do. Clearing out chaff is important, but there's still a gigantic Rogue Idol that essentially has full HP left, so taking that thing down will not be a simple task at all. Pink Horrors are getting some point-blank volleys into it, but will probably be shut down momentarily. Remnants of the Squig Herd trying to tie them down from behind, but the Doom Knights and the rest of the Air Force able to escape back into the safety of the skies. And now, both armies looking pretty tattered. with the mobility advantage, of course, going towards Tzeentch. And yeah, I think Okoi might have overcommitted to saving the rest of his archers, because now the Nasty Skulkers and the remaining Night Goblins have been split off from the Rogue Idol, and they're easy prey. Remnants of Forsaken, the Doom Knights, Furies, and Screamers all coming in, and oh my god, that is absolutely brutal. But yeah, they should have just stayed close to the Rogue Idol. They probably would have been fine with that avatar in the center of their formation, but if you allow yourself to get isolated like this, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, those kinds of factions can punish you really heavily, especially if they've invested heavily in the air game, and that was painful. And now to Warlord's Boys, or which one? Is that AP Gloonies or Warlord's Boys? There's one Night Goblin regiment that has consistently not had its name displayed properly since Warhammer 2 days. Like, the name of the regiment just doesn't show up. I think that's the Warlord Boys. Either way, the Night Goblin Regiment of Renown, while they did manage to kill off... Oh, this is the Unbreakable one. That's AP Gloonies, right? I think that's AP... I don't remember, dude. Anyway, they finished off the Pink Horrors. And they are unbreakable, so they're going to hold on a while over there isolated while the Rogue Idol and the rest of the Nasty Skulkers stomp in. The Doom Knights and Furies and Screamers able to chase off quite a lot of broken Goblin regiments towards the edge of the map. Furies going in towards those Nasty Skulkers, and this is the HQ now. It's Skarsnik, the Rogue Idol, the AP Gloonies, and some Nasty Skulkers, and that will line up for a gorgeous Eldritch Storm. I don't remember the name of this either. Arcane Surge, Eldritch Storm, what have you. It looks really cool. And guess what's going to happen to those Nasty Skulkers? They are pretty much not going to exist anymore. Furies charging back in to ensure that the Night Goblin infantry is forced to stay in the AoE. And they were about 2/3 health, maybe even more than that, maybe like 4/5. And now they don't exist anymore. Utterly demolished by that magical outpouring. Here come the Screamers. Here come the Tzeentch Knights. Here comes their doom. And it kind of sucks for the Greenskins here, because a Nasty Skulker with a Dung Bomb, when those Doom Knights and Chaos Knights committed, would have allowed the Rogue Idol to start beating on them and probably do a lot of damage. Now, would it have been enough to turn the tide? Probably not. I think there's too much mobility left on the field for the Greenskins to deal with anyway. Doom Knights and Chaos Knights will just have free reign here in the late game to charge whatever the hell they want and pretty much take it to the edge of the map if they so desire. And they can allow their barrier to recharge, which has been an important part of this battle. Every time the Doom Knights or Chaos Knights have engaged, they've also taken the time to run away and let their shield recharge, so they're effectively getting massive boosts to their HP pool. And that's just going to leave the Rogue Idol isolated and on an island. Skarsnik and the Avatar of Gork and possibly Mork now fighting for their lives, surrounded by Chaos Knights and Screamers. And though this fight will take quite a long time to conclude, simply because there's not a lot of armor piercing left on the field for the armies of Tzeentch, they will be able to drag down the Rogue Idol. They will be able to cause army losses momentarily. And then, by the way, I forgot to mention it, the Rogue Idol is unbreakable now. It will not rout. Now, I personally didn't have a problem with it routing before, because from my understanding, it's always been the magical incarnation of the spirit of the Waaagh, and Waaghs can rout, Waaghs can run. It's basically the spirit of the Greenskins themselves. So I personally never had a problem with it running, but I also don't mind that it will now be unbreakable, and that'll put it on par with the Terracotta Sentinel in a lot of aspects, and we'll probably see more play out of it now that it doesn't have to worry about leadership at all. And it's such a cool unit that I'm kind of glad that we'll probably get to see more of it from a competitive standpoint, even if I don't expect it will be much of a factor in game modes like Domination, for instance. Skarsnik is running, army losses has kicked in, and the beast shall crumble, take a dirt nap, and the armies of Tzeentch will take the field without a whole lot left of their army, honestly. Doom Knights and Chaos Knights and Kairos Fateweaver, pretty much all that are remaining. So certainly got dragged down, but those are the elites and the most important troop choices that the entire Tzeentch army was built around. So in terms of kills and chevrons earned, damage value, that sort of thing, Chaos Knights and Doom Knights were fantastic as expected. Night Goblin build certainly going to have some issues dealing with that heavy armor, missile block chance, and barrier. Again, if you manage to get some good smoke bombs in, and then get the Rogue Idol smacking on them or squigs surrounding them, you might be able to drag them down. But if you let them escape and recharge their barrier over and over again, get those cycle charges in, you're going to be in for a rough time, and they just did not have enough punching power or catch to deal with those knights. And like I said, theme build from Okoye here, not exactly meta, but saw some good damage value out of the Doom Knights and Chaos Knights, a lot of kills as well. Screamers and Fury certainly helping out a lot on the flanks. Great for harassing the archers, getting them moving, isolating important targets. And the Forsaken, yeah, I mean, 250 kills, 300 kills. They're just going to straight up buzzsaw their way through that front line. No problem at all. Kairos, not particularly effective this game. Had a couple nice Gaze of Fate for the debuff and slow, or the net rather. But Blue Fire simply was not going to leave even a scratch on the Rogue Idol. It's meant for low armor stuff, which is why you'll see it so often against the Wood Elves, so often against some of the low armor factions. But here, just nothing really important for it to shoot at. And I guess the way you'd want to use Blue Fire in this scenario is get on the flank and fire into infantry, rather than waste it on all the armor of the Avatar. But either way, Pink Fire probably would have been a better spell here, especially dealing with all these lightly armored Night Goblins. I just don't remember if Kairos even has Pink Fire. I think he does, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. Skarsnik didn't do a whole lot. He was honestly kind of useless this game, unfortunately. But I'll be curious to see some different Greenskins builds and see what they can come up with to potentially counter Daemons and Tzeentch in specific. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Great game to Okoye. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.